Three. All right, everybody. I am back. Man, baseball ended. I guess for Dodgers fans, your baseball ended great, but for Cubs fans like myself, it kind of ended with a whimper. Um, so, I think you can kind of guess what this episode is going to be about. But as always, I am your host Spencer Fannin. Welcome back to the breakdown. I got the World Series champion right. If you watch my previous my last video about my playoff predictions and stuff, so I actually had the top two seeds and I had them correct. I just had the incorrect team as the number one seed for the AL. I think going back, I think I got 13 of the 16 teams right in the playoffs, which was pretty cool. But hey, there it is. I mean, that's baseball. That's why baseball is awesome. You can never know. Anybody can do anything. Obviously, the best team won. The Dodgers were clearly the best team all year. But and I will not be going into how Kevin Cash messed that game up in Game 6. So don't worry about that. This is going to be about the Cubs. It's been a story that's been going on for the last, I'd say, 3 years, since at least 2017. What are they going to do in the offseason to improve themselves? This is going to be more of a where are they now, immediately now, what is their situation, what can they do? I'm not really going to give out any predictions on who they could get, who they might get, stuff like that, because this season, I don't even know if I want to try that, considering the craziness of the season. I mean, how many teams have declined options on players already, and stuff. I mean, Colton Wong of the Cardinals, Brad Hand of the Indians. I mean, it's going to be a weird season. So I'm just going to be talking about what the Cubs have in the terms of financials to spend, and what do they need, like from a personnel spot. So we'll get right down into it. The luxury tax this year for 2021. I mean, obviously it's not 2021 yet. I wish it was, because then 2020 is gone. But the luxury tax for 2021, according to SpotTrack and other sites that I found, is going to be $210 million. It'll go up, I believe, about $2 million from this year. Now, obviously, this year was prorated and adjusted and all that, and next year could be the same thing. But for the purposes of making math easier, I'm going to stick it at as that's the number. The $210 million is the luxury tax threshold for this year. The Cubs have been over the luxury tax threshold for the last 2 years, so they really want to get under it. They've been trying to get under it the last couple years, but they just haven't been able to. They really want to get under it this year, because I think it goes up to like 50% tax for every dollar that they're over for a third time, and also I think they drop draft pick or something like that, so they definitely want to be under it. But as looking at the roster, and I'll use SpotTrack, which is a really good site to do the financials and stuff like that. I looked at, they've got currently right now on their roster, they have roughly $75 million allotted to 5 players. 5. Those players are Jason Hayward, Yu Darvish, Craig Kimbrell, Kyle Hendricks, and David Bodie. Those 5 guys. Those are they've got contracts already signed and everything. They've got roughly the majority of the team is still under either at the top of arbitration or in pre-arb, like pretty much everything else. SpotTrack, they did not give any raises, it looks like, for the players that are under arbitration, like Chris Bryant, Javi Baez, Ian Happ, Kyle Schwarber, Contreras, those guys, Caratini, stuff like that. So I added those up. What they're estimating, I think Ian Happ will get an actual raise. I don't know about the other guys. I'm just going off an estimate. Counting up at least the arbitration eligible players, their projections add up to just under $49 million. Now I think that'll go up a little bit, so I'm gonna put that at 55 for, I believe it's like 12, 13 other players. So there you go. And then pre-arb, well, actually, no, not the pre-arb. Actually, the rest of the roster is filled out with pre-arb arbitration eligible players, and those roughly about just under $9.5 million. So if you add all those up, the 75 already guaranteed, the say 55 for the arbitration eligible players, that is 130, and then the pre-arb players, which are already set, those are like league minimum whatevers, that's just about 9.5. So you're at $139.5 million already, and that's 20. I added it up. That's 28 players. That's 28 players. The players that I don't think will be they'll be non-tendered or just not offered contracts, at least. Jose Martinez, Albert Almora, Kyle Ryan, Colin Ray, Tepera, Winkler, and Descalso. And Descalso got a buyout. That's already been agreed upon. They're not picking up the option, so they just buy him out for $1 million. They yesterday, this is filming on Halloween, October 31st. Yesterday, the Cubs announced that they were not picking up the mutual option on John Lester's contract. They're going to buy him out for the $10 million. So 139.5 plus 10, 149.5. The $1 million for Descalso, that puts you at 150.5. And then it looks like, according to Patrick Mooney and other guys over at The Athletic, they do a great job, the Cubs will pick up Anthony Rizzo's option of $16.5 million. So that puts you at $168 million. And that is 29 active players and stuff. 29 active with 2 buyouts. So if you look at it, the $210 million is the top of the line. Most teams try and keep about 15 or so million underneath the top threshold, because for in-season acquisitions, stuff like that, bonuses and such. So the Cubs are going to be a little about 30 million, a little under 30 million to fill out the rest of their roster, depending on other stuff. I mean, maybe they work it out with Rizzo that they extend him and lower the money this year and next year, or at least this year, to backload it for his final couple years. I would love for the Cubs to sign him to like a 4-year deal and stuff to keep him around for the rest of his career, because he deserves it. He's the captain and all that. But so they have about roughly 35, maybe 40 million to spend to pick up, arguably, I mean, probably like 8 or 9 guys. Looking at the roster, they need the needs, at least that I looked up. I got a little notepad over here. They need at least one more starting pitcher, a proven starting pitcher. They need probably 4 relievers, at least 1 outfielder, preferably a center fielder, and 2 more bench guys. So that's 2, 6, 7. That's 9 guys. 9 guys to fill out the roster. Now, you can do that with a lot of like minor league deals with a major league option, stuff like that. Bring up guys you think are ready from the minor leagues, such, and I think they're probably going to do that a lot with the with their bullpen. They're going to go. They might get one more. See if they can get one more proven guy with the bullpen, but really focus on the young arms that they've got in the minor leagues that just throw hard for their bullpen. I think that they're going to focus on what they really need to focus on is finding at least one more starting pitcher who can be behind Hendricks and Darvish, because their rotation right now is they've got 4 with Darvish, Hendricks, Alec Mills, and Adbert Alzolay. There is talks, and I think it's a decent talk, that they bring Lester back on like a 1 or 2 year deal at a lower at a decent cost, like maybe $12 million for the 2 years, 12, 14 million, something like that, to keep the cost and also just bolster out the rotation for a couple more years so we can get to 200 wins. He's 7 away. Shout out to John Lester for offering to buy every Chicago Cubs fan a single beer, Miller Lite, I believe it is, this weekend. So props to John Lester. I hope he stays. He's definitely the greatest free agent acquisition the Cubs have ever had, probably right up there in Chicago sports history and stuff. So we'll see how it goes with that. The rotation, they need at least one guy there. Bullpen arms, you're losing Jeffress and probably not DFA, but non-tendering a couple other guys that were good this year. So really, I think they've got Kimbrel, Underwood, Rowan Wick. Those are probably like the 3 big guys and stuff. Those are really the only 3 guys you can really think of in the bullpen right now. So you probably need 4 or 5 more guys, depending on what the roster situation. Does it stay at the expanded 28 or does it 26 or something like that? And then they need I think they need a center fielder, a guy who can just go out and get it, move Hap to left, and maybe non-tender Schwarber to save some money. I would rather, if you're gonna not have him on, I would rather trade him, try and get something back, and stuff like that. But and then you need a couple bench guys because it's really Bodie, Caratini, and that's really it. Because I think some easy contracts to get rid of, which are like I said earlier, Martinez, Almora, Kyle Ryan, Colin Ray, Tepera, Winkler, and Descalso. Those 7 guys, you non-tender them, you save roughly 11 to 12 million and stuff from the projected payroll. The projected payroll on SpotTrack was like 178, something like that, or 168, something. They were close to like 50 million. I don't think that's what it's going to be, but that also included both. Lester's 25 million option, which the Cubs are not picking up. They're only spending 10, and Descalso's money and Rizzo's money. They're picking up Rizzo, so it's really between those 3 guys, those 3 options. It was 41 and a half, I think like 44, 45. The Cubs are only going to pick up like 26 of that with the buyout and Rizzo's options, so they're saving about almost 20 million there. But they will have some money, but the fact that they need like 8 or 9 guys, you're only going to be spending maybe 3 or 4 per person. I think their biggest 2 needs are a contact hitter for either second base or center field, or an outfielder, maybe in left field, and then at least one more bona fide starting pitcher. There are plenty of rumors out there. Go check them out. Athletic, MLB trade rumors, stuff like that. Maybe later on and stuff I'll do in the actual video in this offseason. I'll do what I would like them to do depending on the financials and stuff like that. But really, they've got, from what I've crunched the numbers on, they've got about 35 million to play with. That does not include if they decide to bring back Lester, which would fill in a spot. You have him as probably your 3rd, 4th, or 5th starter, whatever, and stuff. But we'll have to see. Again, these numbers are based on the fact that it's not going to be adjusted. It's not going to be prorated and stuff like that. We're going off the fact that payrolls will be normal next year for 2021. I don't know if we're going to get fans in the stands probably until midseason at the earliest, and such, or at least majority of fans, because who knows with everything going on. But if I'm again, this is the last year of this core group, at least directly under contract. Could I see that the Cubs, if I'm Tom Ricketts and stuff, I'm in an interesting spot. Do you want to not lose as much money this year because supposedly they had biblical losses and stuff? Rob Manfred came out, I think, at the end of the World Series saying MLB lost like over $3 billion in revenue from the ticket sales and stuff like that. I'm not sure how accurate that number is, but we'll see. Several teams have already said they're cutting payroll a lot. The Cardinals, stuff like that. So we'll have to see. It's going to be interesting. But I think the question will be for many teams is, do I try and mitigate my losses for 2021, lose as little or no money as possible, or do I accept 2020 as a financial loss, but try and make sure my team is ready to win either 2021, 2022, 2023 when fans are fully back, and I can recoup those losses as quickly as possible by having a competitive and aggressive team ready to go. So that's going to be the question. It's not my money, obviously. I would rather have the aggressive team, so I'd be ready to try and win in 2021, 2022, 2023. So I would think about, okay, do I sign? I'd be smart about it. I'm not going to just sign willy-nilly, but try and get some guys on long-term deals that smooth over a transition for moving out this core into the next core that the Cubs have hopefully coming up. But we're going to have to see. So there you go. That's my numbers crunch, some ideas of how much money the Cubs might have to spend this year, what they need and such. So until next time, this is Spencer Fannin signing off for the breakdown. Everybody have a great Halloween. Stay safe out there. Be vigilant about everything, and we'll get through this. And once we do, we'll be able to have a massive party again. So, till next time.